Hey everybody, it's Matt just checking in on a Friday afternoon, night, and wanted to do a quick check-in on the rock and roll contest, even though I did that 3 or 4 days ago, but just wanted to clarify a point. Quickly first though, I will read again the names because a couple of more people have entered since 4 days ago. So read the names of the people that have made entries, and that would be D. Washington 607, Karsten Olson, sorry I never say that right, Brandon, Mr. Hall of Fame, Mean Mr. Mayo, that's Joe, and Speaker, who is Jeff. Mean Mr. Mayo and Speaker made entries here in the last couple of days or so, and so yeah, if I don't have your name, if I didn't read your name there, just send me a message so I know that you made an entry so I can watch it and get you counted in the contest there. And Barack P. Dub also entered the contest, but he said he didn't want to be into the drawing for the gift card there. But so that's what, about 6 people that have entered so far. It still got till May the 1st, so you got plenty of time. Kind of arbitrarily stretch the contest out, so hope to see a lot more entries come in. But yeah, one of the when Joe, Mean Mr. Mayo, made his entry, great entry by the way. I was surprised by one of the something that he excluded there, and I'll let you watch the video to find out what I'm talking about. If you know Joe, you'll know what I'm talking about right away when you watch his video. But he kind of made the point that, and I've heard people say this before, and I even kind of think of it in this respect, that you say rock and roll and people tend to think of 50s music or early 60s music, and then you say rock and people think of something else. So kind of somewhere around 66, 67, Sergeant Pepperish time, rock and roll turned into rock. You know, rock and roll kind of grew up and got a little more serious and artistic leaning and deep and so forth, and it became rock. So I understand that you don't really talk about, I don't know, Led Zeppelin or Yes or Jethro Tull as a rock and roll band. You usually refer to them as a rock band. So I get all that, but I just wanted to clarify or make the point that for the purpose of this contest, when I say describe rock and roll, or you can call it rock or whatever you want to, you know, your examples of what songs best define or exemplify what rock and roll and or rock is. I'm talking about the whole span from whenever rock and roll started, you know, and you can have that argument of what's the first rock and roll song, but just, you know, for argument's sake, back in the 50s, or you can go further back if you want, I don't care, but whenever rock and roll started till today. So all of it is rock and roll for the purpose of this contest. So if you want to pick a song from the 70s or the late 60s or the 80s or the 2000s or whatever, that's perfectly acceptable. And I just didn't want anybody to think that by the term rock and roll they were limited to just, you know, the Elvis, Chuck Berry days or the early 60s of the girl groups and the Beach Boys and the early Beatles and garage rock stuff. So you're not limited to 1955 to 1965. It covers the whole span for the purpose of this contest. Of, you call it rock and roll, whatever, but it covers the whole thing. So there's that. And the other thing, and nobody's done this yet, I'm in the original contest rules I said, and this doesn't count one way or the other for your name going in the hat to win the prize, but if after doing your 1 to 5 define rock and roll songs, you want to do some other genres, you wanted to do soul or country or jazz or whatever, you're perfectly free to do that. And I'd kind of like to see people do that because it'd just be kind of fun to see, you know, now I've done rock and roll, now I'll do the 5 songs that I think best epitomize soul music or whatever. So feel free to do that. And if you have already made an entry, feel free to come back and make some more entries for other types of music, you know, whatever, classical, anything. You're not going to get your name put in the hat twice if you do that, but it'd just be kind of fun to see some people weigh in on anything, rap, hip-hop, folk, whatever. So, you know, keep that in mind for those of you who haven't made an entry yet, that you can certainly, after you do the rock and roll, you can do other types of music. And for those, like I said, that have already done an entry, feel free to come back and do an addendum. And so that's it. Just wanted everyone to make sure that they weren't stuck in just the 50s and the early 60s, and that you can pick examples from any time period. I mean, you can pick stuff from the 1700s for all I care. But there you go. So have a good Friday, and we will see you. And keep those entries coming in. I'm enjoying watching them